Hello and welcome to News Central Television. I am Likon Obanjo. The top stories at this hour. NCAA to sanction Kenya Airways over passengers' mistreatment. Abductors demand 250 million naira ransom for former Director General of the National Youth Service Corps, Maharaj Witsiga. Kenya urges warring parties to immediately cease hostilities in DR Congo. Details to come your way shortly. The Central Hour this hour begins with updates on the mistreatment of a Nigerian passenger by Kenya Airways. The Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority has initiated strict enforcement action against Kenya Airways over multiple consumer protection violations. The airline allegedly failed to apologize, refund, or compensate Nigerian traveler Gloria Omisore within the required 48-hour period. NCAA officials also accused Kenya Airways of mishandling a 7-hour flight delay without proper compensation. Director of Public Affairs Michael Achimugu revealed the airline ignored regulatory guidelines, prompting NCAA to take legal action. Omisore's ordeal, including a 17-hour layover in Nairobi without proper care, sparked public outrage. Despite requests for compliance, Kenya Airways reportedly failed to amend its official statement. The NCAA now plans a regulatory retreat for airlines operating in Nigeria to ensure compliance. And now to politics. Former Kano State Governor Rabiu Musa Kokonso and ex-Osun State Governor Rauf Aregbesola held a marathon closed-door meeting in Lagos on Saturday. The high-level discussion, which lasted several hours, may not be unconnected with the political strategies ahead of the 2027 elections. Though details remain undisclosed, sources say both leaders explored potential alliances and key strategies for the upcoming political cycle. Kokonso, leader of the Kokonsiya movement, and Aregbesola, a prominent APC figure, have both played major roles in Nigeria's political landscape. Their meeting has sparked speculation about possible realignments as the race for 2027 gains momentum. Meanwhile, the national chairman of the New Nigeria People's Party, NNPP, Agbo Major, says the expulsion of Rabiu Kokonso and his faction remains valid. Kokonso's group had rejected Tuesday's national convention in Lagos, calling it illegitimate. However, at a press briefing in Abuja, Major insisted the convention was backed by a court ruling. He cited a November 2024 Abia High Court judgment that placed the party under its board of trustees. Major also confirmed the ratification of Kokonso's expulsion, a financial review, and the reinstatement of the old party logo. He urged the Kokonsiya faction to leave the NNPP, stating that their leadership had already moved on. To discuss this, we're joined live in our studios by the National Publicity Secretary of the NNPP, Ladipo Johnson. It's nice to have you around, Mr. Johnson.
Good evening. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. So there have been multiple court rulings on this political fragmentation that we've seen play out in the NNPP. I'd like to find out from you what faction the law recognizes as of now.
Thank you, sir. I keep saying that we have no factions. Major Agbo, Anebunam, and others have said that their NNPP has a basket of fruits as the logo. NNPP, legally recognized by INEC, has the red, white, red color, education for all, book, and cap as its logo. So then there's no problem. They have expelled Kwankwaso and the governor of Kano, myself inclusive, from their club. Thank you. No problem. So let them leave us. If they say we're not an MPP, let them leave us with INEC. Let them start taking us to court. Let them leave us.
But it seems as though there's no collaboration between these.
There cannot be collaboration. They don't belong to the party any longer.
But you said there's no problem. You said there's no problem in NNPP.
Exactly. We don't have a problem. Have you had any problem within us? Nothing. If you have one or two people saying they want to move, like one of the members, two of the members of reps from Kano, it's a normal thing in politics. Do you understand? But crises, what have you? No. I think that the press have even hyped it. The bottom line is that Agbo Major and co say their NNPP basket of fruits, green, white, blue, you can see that. And that's not my NNPP. And that is not NNPP before INEC. It's not the one registered before INEC. So there should be no problem anymore. He spoke about Abia judgment. Abia judgment said, go and reorganize the party, so. The party, meaning the party with the basket of fruits, was there, what they put in there. They didn't tell the courts in Abia that as at the time they were there was no longer a party that had basket of fruits. The constitution they took before that court in Abia had been amended in April 2024, last year, before they went to the court in one corner of Abia, where we were not served. But that's fine. They served themselves. They said they had served an MPP. That's fine. So any decision that court made, you understand? Oh, God, this is so simple. Maybe because I'm a lawyer. Any decision that court made was made par incuriam. All the facts were not before the judge. In actual fact, they misled the judge. Right? Now, so go and implement what they told you to implement with a party or logo that is no longer in existence.
So this would mean that the convention recently held in Lagos is null and void?
It was just for publicity, so that they can tell their paymasters they're working. It's as simple as that. You know, it's always nice. You can't expel a person about 10 times. You know how many times they've announced they've suspended or expelled Kwankwaso and governor of Kano? It's so that they can generate news. You've expelled him. Thank you. We're no longer there. We're in our own NMPP. And that is the one recognized by INEC. That is the one that has been fielding candidates. It's as simple as that.
Okay, but some people say that it is poor timing for these crises, so to speak, that we're seeing play out in the NNPP. And they've also asked that what is it that the leadership is doing to address the situation?
Oh, you see, it's not poor timing. It's perfect timing for the party on the other side, who has found willing tools in Agbo and his cohorts. So it's good timing for them. But for us, we are learning to move ahead despite and in spite of the attempted distractions. We will not let them distract. But once in a while, we'll come back to the public and say, hey, this is what is going on. Don't listen to them. There was a court matter on the 7th, right? Was that yesterday, Friday?
Yesterday was Friday.
Yes, I think it was on the 6th or on the 7th.
Okay.
On the day we held the press conference, there was a court matter in Abuja High Court. The court that restrained them. And I listened to Agbo today, and he's hung himself. You see, that's why when you talk too much, he's hung himself. He said that their so-called convention was postponed because there was a restraining order. That shows that they were served, they were aware. He said it was postponed, but that when the order elapsed, They now went ahead.
That was on February 4.
Good. The order didn't elapse. The wordings of the order restrained pending the determination of the interlocutory motion for injunction, which was just moved how many days ago? 3 days after their purported meeting in Akpakpa. So they are in contempt. Agbo's press conference today just made life easier for our learned SAN. I read it just as I was coming into the studio. I knew it would come up. I wanted to be sure of the wordings of the injunction. It wasn't for 7 days, it wasn't for 3 days, it was pending the determination. So even now, it hasn't elapsed because the motion, although they've moved it, both sides have argued it, until she rules on the motion, it hasn't been determined.
Do you think there is an external force fueling this?
I don't think that. I know there is. I know there is, you know. I know there is. And it's a shame that our friends have allowed themselves to be used by the external forces. I suppose that's why they're able to afford press conferences and conventions, in quotes, in hotels.
Who are the external forces? Who are the external forces?
Well, all you need to do is look at what is happening in the PDP, look at what's happening with Labour, and you find a common denominator. So it's clear to Nigerians, those who do not want opposition parties to be whole, approaching 2027. The difference with the NNPP being that we were fortunate enough to have expelled those who would have made themselves detractors or what have you on the inside. That is the case, you know, that is a simple thing. I thank God for Agbo's press conference today. Fantastic. He's given us the answer to everything.
Okay, so we're looking at 2027 general elections in the corner. Is there any possibility whereby the leadership of the party would see how to speak to all the groups involved, close ranks, have people shift their swords to form a formidable party for the coming election?
You can't form something with these people. You can't. They've shown the sort of politicians they are. The problem started, part of it started when we were doing a review of 2023, and some of them were found to have been involved in anti-party activities. You had one of them, a chairman of a state at that time, single-handedly supporting another gubernatorial candidate from that of his party a few days to the elections. All sorts of things, you know. And it was the same Dr. Anebunam that actually started and said, look, National Working Committee, what are you looking at? Revamp this party, do whatever. We started, and because those boys, that particular person ran to him, he now turned around. You understand? But when he got to the stage where he was saying that he was superior to the NEC, the National Executive Committee, or to the Working Committee, then we felt it was high time we had to suspend him. It's unfortunate. I would much rather, I mean, they might not say we're friends now, but I was quite close and pally chummy with most of them. But unfortunately, it got to where it got to, and we had to take the decisions we took. And we stand by those decisions. Now, if anyone wants to settle, I know that's a Nigerian thing. For Ladipo Johnson, I'm a hardliner when it comes to that. They've shown enough to make me realize that it is better to go to war with 5 solid people than with 20 watery, lukewarm people. Okay. That you now don't know which way you're going.
All right. Well, we hope that these issues can be resolved within the party, but then we appreciate your presence, National Publicity Secretary of the NNPP,
Thank you,
Johnson.
And please check the INEC portal. know who it is, so that next time you can introduce them, that they say, but the INEC says it is the other. You understand?
All right, thank you very much. We appreciate that. Away from politics now, let's talk health. President Donald Trump's initial ban on foreign aid has sent shockwaves across several developing nations, including Nigeria, over the sustainability of donor-supported health services, while President Trump has granted an emergency humanitarian waiver over his emergency plan for AIDS relief, allowing operations in 55 countries, including Nigeria. Health experts have raised serious concerns about the continuous reliance on donor funding to sustain the nation's health sector. Our correspondent, Idong Joseph, tells us more.
Withdrawing from the World Health Organization, sir?
Oh, that's a big one.
The Trump administration issued an executive order halting all foreign aid for the next 90 days to evaluate whether these programs directly benefit the United States of America. This decision has caused widespread concerns as it risks jeopardizing millions of lives worldwide. The order, which affects programs like USAID and PEPFAR, has begun to impact countries in sub-Saharan Africa that rely heavily on USAID for the funding of their health sector, including Nigeria.
We're supposed to train journalists on how to track health budgets and then also how to advocate for improving family planning commodity purchase. That grant was linked to USAID. And 3 days or 4 days before that, I got an email that said, please, Dr. Oji, I'm sorry to tell that you have to suspend all expenditure on this grant.
I know some colleagues who got their employment terminated last week. There are some people who said they've been asked to go on compulsory leave for the next 3 months without salary, pending on when the review is completed. And there are people that their donors promise that they will continue to pay them for the next 3 months. After the review, they will tell them what is happening.
While a waiver for HIV treatment has been granted, the potential impact on the cost of antiretroviral drugs subsidized through PEPFAR, which provided antiretroviral treatment for about 20.6 million people in 55 countries in 2024, could be alarming.
They might decide that at the end of 90 days we don't want to do again. If they stop it, those millions of Nigerians that are on HIV treatment, that means if nobody takes off that lap, they will go off it.
With U.S. foreign aid uncertain after the 90-day evaluation period, experts say Nigeria's government must take responsibility for ensuring the safety of its citizens, including ensuring that they receive the best possible care.
Some states are taking the bull by the horn. Two good examples, Abia State and Kaduna State, they've increased their health budget above 15%. That's what should happen at the national level.
When there are emergency outbreaks of health-related issues, it is the primary responsibility of government and not donor-related. It shouldn't be a donor thing.
For now, the waiver on HIV drugs provide a temporary relief. The larger question, however, remains, how will Nigeria secure its healthcare future in a world where donor funding is no longer guaranteed? In Abuja for News Central, I am Idong Joseph.
We now go on a break. When we return, abductors demand 250 million naira ransom for the release of former NYSC DG Maharaj Tsiga. We will tell you more when we are back. To stay with us. Many thanks for staying with us. Let's talk security now. The kidnappers of retired General Maharaj Tsiga, a former Director General of the National Youth Service Corps, have demanded a ransom of 250 million naira for his release. Sources say the family of the abducted retired general was contacted late on Friday night by the kidnappers' ringleader, who made the demand. Tsiga was kidnapped alongside several other residents of Tsiga village in the Kankara local government area of Katsina State. The abduction occurred on Wednesday when armed assailants stormed his residence. During the attack, 2 residents sustained injuries, while one of the attackers was reportedly shot dead by his own accomplices. Now, the Anambra State Police Command has arrested 9 suspects allegedly involved in the killing of Justice Azuka, the member representing Onitsha North 1 constituency in the State House of Assembly. The Commissioner of Police in Anambra State, Nagi Itam, announced the arrests in a press statement, saying a joint security team on a mission to rescue the abducted lawmaker discovered his lifeless body. Itam added that on the same day Azuka's body was found, security operatives, in collaboration with Anambra State vigilante operatives acting on an intelligence-led operation, apprehended 9 suspects believed to have played an active role in the killing. According to Itam, 2 pump-action guns were recovered from the suspects. He added that one of them sustained a gunshot wound to the leg during an exchange of fire with the police. Away from security matters to regional growth, the chairman of the Senate Committee on Customs, Excise and Tariff, Senator Isai Chocho, has lauded President Bola Tinubu for approving the establishment of the North Central Development Commission. Chocho, speaking through his media aide, Mikhail Ibrahim, called the initiative a landmark achievement that addresses the region's unique challenges and promotes economic growth, infrastructure development, and social welfare. He also expressed that the region feels vindicated for supporting Tinubu in the 2023 elections. Chocho emphasized the importance of collaboration among stakeholders to ensure inclusive development, particularly for youth and marginalized communities, while commending the Senate's role in the NCDC's creation. In other news, pro-human rights group, the Initiative Against Human Rights Abuse and Torture, has called on President Bola Tinubu to order an independent investigation into a land-grabbing dispute involving 2 citizens, for which the police is being accused of showing bias in the case. The group expressed concern over the case involving Rebecca Isaac and 79-year-old Colin Yusufu, claiming that Yusufu's family has continued to face injustice and harassment by the police despite ongoing investigations by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. The group is also accusing the police of interference in the matter, following a suit filed in an attempt to undermine the investigation by the EFCC. Coming up on the news, death toll rises to 32 in jihadist attack in northern Mali. We will tell you more in a short while. Don't go away. Nice to know you're still there. We tell you that Lagos is abuzz as advocates, health professionals and concerned citizens took to the streets for the Stride for Her Rights walkathon organized by Global Citizen Move Africa. The initiative aimed to spotlight sexual and reproductive health rights while pushing for stronger maternal health care policies in Nigeria. News Central's Chidima Ona has more in this report.
Setting off from the Link Bridge in Lekki Phase 1, participants marched in solidarity, demanding improved policies, stronger healthcare infrastructure, and greater community involvement in supporting women's health. Representatives from Global Citizen Move Africa, alongside concerned citizens, highlighted how initiatives like this can drive meaningful change.
When we look at our country today, we do have key challenges around maternal care, sexual and reproductive health services, access to these services. And so the objective of this work is to call out the awareness for increased financing of these areas. We also have community health workers who, do this work and work daily with our women, but a lot of their work is hindered by the lack of government support and lack of equipment and funding.
And we're really pleased that at this critical juncture, 5 years to the end of the SDGs, that we're beginning to see results. But as promising as the results are, they also tell us of the need to reinvest and replenish the investments.
This is a march that contributes to a very important conversation, not only the rights of women, but her well-being, especially as it pertains to maternal health in Nigeria.
While government efforts are ongoing, The attendees stressed the importance of individual and collective action in transforming maternal and women's healthcare in Nigeria.
Maternal and child mortality is very important, and it's important because indices shows that the death rate for maternal and infant mortality is actually not where we want it. We have one of the highest, even though it's not getting any worse. It's actually getting better, but it's not where we want it.
One, educate ourselves on what's happening in maternal health, sexual health, and family planning services. That's very important. Two, we have to advocate for our healthcare workers, our community healthcare workers that are in the primary healthcare centers most especially. These guys are the superheroes. They're the ones that are on the front lines. They're the ones that need support, not just governmental support. So you and I can show up at events like this, which applies pressure to the government to divert financing to healthcare.
Championing causes by creating huge awareness about it. We even need it now, even more now that the President Donald Trump has stopped US aid, isn't it? So there's less funding coming in. We got to take care of ourselves.
With sustained advocacy and collaborative efforts, Nigeria can take bold steps towards a future where every woman has access to quality healthcare free from barriers and inequalities. In Lagos, reporting for News Central, I am Chidinma Ona.
Ahmadu University in Abia State is now officially open for the 2024-2025 academic session with the matriculation of pioneer students located at Amizi Ikwana local government area of Abia, southeast Nigeria. It promises to compete favorably as one of the best tertiary institutions around. News Central's Chinwe Ogele has more.
I now admit you formally to the membership of the academic programs of the university into which you have been admitted.
It is a dream come true for the founder of Ahmadu University, Amizi Ikwana local government area of Abia State, Dr. Godwin Wabonka, who says the mission of the management is to produce students who are fit and sound in all ramifications.
We are thrilled with pleasures who we admit today as our first cohort of students. I say you are pioneers. You are the cornerstone upon which the legacy of Ahmadu University is built.
For the Vice Chancellor of the university, Professor Samuel Nzota, the university management has put in place facilities to assist research and push the students to explore.
I assure all the parents and guardians and stakeholders that the current university administration, which I am leading, is determined to provide and sustain a conducive learning environment and ensure comfort and maximum security for our students.
As for the special guest of honor, Senate President Godswill Akpabio, who is being represented by Austin Akobondo of Abia Central Senatorial Zone, he expresses optimism that the university will be a place of true character molding and academic excellence.
Let it be said of Ahmadu University that it was founded not for the mere passing on of information, but for the shaping of character and forging of leaders, and the cultivation of minds that shall dream, dare, and do.
The Pro-Chancellor and Chairman Governing Council, Professor Roselyn Ndimele, in a vote of thanks, discloses the milestones achieved so far by the university.
Let me mention the benevolence of host communities in willingly yielding land and space for the development of the university. The sacrifice of the project implementation committee.
Parents and the pioneer students share their impression about the university.
The environment is so beautiful. As I'm looking at this school, in the next 3-4 years, it will be a very big one.
Confined here, yes, and we just need to focus on our studies, and sometimes we also perform other social activities, extracurricular activities.
What you like most is too difficult, based on the standards that have been set in the school.
Today, Ahmadu University, Amizi, in Ikwana local government area of Abia State, is birthed with its official opening. Hopefully, The state and beyond will begin to enjoy the benefits of citing this university in this community. In Umuahia for News Central, I am Chinwe Ugele.
Away from that, the Association of Maritime Truck Owners has raised concerns over the potential return of severe gridlock in Apapa due to what they describe as an uncontrolled and biased system for truck passage into the port. News Central's maritime correspondent Ineoma Obiaswalu takes a look at these concerns.
A huge concern has been raised on the looming congestion at the Lagos ports. Truckers decry the alleged discriminatory policies they face, which has seen their trucks being detained at pre-gates. Yet they are being sidelined while others gain unhindered access to the ports. This current practice of call-up racketeering, shunting and policy inconsistencies is fueling congestion along the Apapa Port corridor, as when truckers get frustrated with waiting endlessly at pre-gates meant to regulate traffic, they have no other option than to bypass the normal call-up process and opt for direct access, worsening road congestion.
This driver is coming from Abat. This call-up can testify to his journey history. As you can see, he accessed Abat on the 28th of January. That is when he entered Abat. He had entered Abat on the 28th of January. This call-up was confirmed on the 2nd. Then later, he exited Abat on the 4th. So that means he spent about 7 days in Abat. He spent 7 days in Abat before he was released from Abat. And when he exited Abat on the 4th, today's date is 6. So that means the driver has spent 2 days on the road. And between here, can still spend another 1 day. And they can not more than 1 day. They can spend 3 days. The port is not to 200. Because they will not pass this line. It is the evacuation call-up they will be passing. So those ones, the evacuation around. All these ones you see, they are the evacuation they will be passing. These people buying evacuation call-up, this is what they are trying to avoid by buying the evacuation call-up at all costs. Yeah, you can see the call-up. This is evacuation. This is Foru. Foru terminal, no stamp, nothing, no jota. That shows his evacuation call-up. It's direct call-up. Yes. No pre-gates. Here in Apapa Port here, we have about 4 or 5 terminals that are serving the public, right? And I said, if those terminals are to operate optimally, they should be able to do about 2,500 boxes. APMT alone claims to be doing about 1,200 boxes in a day. But somehow, they refuse to do this thing because they too they are benefiting. I call the act of proprietary or pure sabotage, because a situation whereby you intentionally delay, reduce your capacity. You are not working optimally just for people truck to be delayed. I mean, container to be delayed so they can pay what we call the validation additional charges. It's very bad. If a truck and if container drop, a container after custom paper ROC, they should not spend more than 48 hours. But they know that after 48 hours, a minute after, you are going to pay 60,000 naira to recharge. I mean, to revalidate your TDU, and have about 100 containers inside the port. So what they do now is that they try to frustrate the process so that they will not be able to release all those trucks until after 48 hours. So in essence, you will be forced to recharge, revalidate by force. So at the end of the day, they are making money from all this, because once they put it through, there won't be revalidation. So all this is now, it creates artificial scarcity. And once this is created, people try to come in, they struggle to the importer, they become desperate. They want to bring their goods out at all costs. And as a result, they are ready to pay anything. And the NPA are not even doing it, they are not helping the issue because of this evacuation thing of a thing. So those trucks that are on the line, instead of passing them, they pass those one that goes out, that they sold evacuation for. Official money for evacuation is about 70,000 naira. But if you know somebody at the right place, I don't know where, what they do is that they can give you 50 evacuation. Maybe you even have 1 or 2 trucks, or maybe you don't even have trucks. Maybe you're an agent, you just apply for it. You say you want this thing, they give 50, they allocate about 60 or 100 to you. You just
carry those ones and sell.
They are calling on the Nigerian Ports Authority to review the direct evacuation call-up system to ensure fairness and prevent a total breakdown of traffic management in Apapa, as if left unchecked, the worsening situation could trigger severe port congestion, disrupt trade, inflict massive financial losses on businesses, and negatively impact residents and the economy. In Lagos for News Central, Norma Obiaswalo.
Let's now talk about the DRC Peace Summit. Kenyan President William Ruto has called for an immediate cessation of hostilities in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo as regional leaders converge on Tanzania for a peace summit. Addressing the ongoing conflict in the region, Ruto urges all armed forces to halt their actions and take steps toward meaningful dialogue aimed at restoring stability. The summit, which brings together leaders from several East African nations, is focused on finding a peaceful resolution to the escalating violence, with Ruto emphasizing the importance of collaboration to end the crisis and foster lasting peace in the DRC. Meanwhile, leaders from the East African Community and Southern African Development Community on Saturday gathered for a discussion on how to end the DRC conflict that has been ongoing for over 3 decades now. This conflict has spilled blood and shattered lives, thus bringing together African leaders and heads of states despite their long-standing differences. News Central's Bongani Siziba has more in this report.
The war in the DRC, which has been raging for years, has finally led to a meeting of East African and SADC leaders in Tanzania. But in a disappointing twist, the anticipated moment, the meeting between the President of the Democratic Republic of Congo and Rwanda, was expected to dominate the discussions. The recent exchange of words between President Kagame and Ramaphosa following the killings of South African soldiers in DRC has added tensions to an already fraught situation. Zimbabwe President and SADC Chairperson Emmerson Mnangagwa opened the meeting, calling for peace and the silencing of guns for stability.
A shared commitment to the founding values of the African Union. Such joint initiatives must see us scale up bold and decisive actions to silence the guns on our continent, but most immediately implement lasting solutions to the escalating conflict and humanitarian crisis in the eastern DRC.
The Tanzanian president had harsh words for her fellow heads of state, demanding a quick solution to the conflict.
History will judge us harshly if we remain still and watch the situation worsen day by day. And in line with the principle of African solutions for Africa's problems, our countries have a collective responsibility to ensure we urgently address the existing security challenges that have heavily impacted the well-being of innocent civilians.
We find ourselves standing face to face with a grave and protracted security, diplomatic, and humanitarian crisis in DRC, a situation that demands our immediate, collective, and sustained attention.
In South Africa, Congolese community members had urged leaders to come together to end the war.
So we say no to EU, to our country, because they are complices. They are together with Rwanda. They are together with Kagame. They are killing us. They know what they are doing. That's why they are in silence, because people that are dying 30 years now is too much.
As the meeting progresses, one must wonder, will these leaders craft a tangible solution, or is it another talk show laden with promises but devoid of actual commitment? Only time will tell, in a region yearning for peace as the world watches and waits. In Johannesburg for News Central, Bongani Sisiba.
In business, we tell you about the Lagos State 2025 budget, but this and other stories will come your way after the short timeouts. Don't go away. The Lagos State government has earmarked funds for urban renewal and technical studies of the long-anticipated 4th Mainland Bridge in its 2025 budget. Commissioner for Economic Planning and Budget, Okpe George, disclosed this during a budget analysis press conference in Ikeja. The bridge, expected to decongest traffic and boost economic activities, is among the state's key infrastructure projects for the year. We now bring you sports news.
In the world of sport, President of the Nigerian Cricket Federation, Uyi Apata, has outlined ambitious plans to elevate cricket status in Nigeria. Speaking on News Central's flagship sports program, In the Game, Apata revealed the federation's goal of making cricket one of the top 3 sports in Nigeria.
We are humble. We want to be top 3 playing sports in Nigeria. I know football is clearly number 1. We can argue about about athletics, basketball, those ones. But we want to, so that anyone clearly says cricket is one of the top 3, and it's without question. Facts are there to define it. But we're beginning to be recognized now. I think in the next 5 years, at different levels, we want to break clearly into the top 20 in both categories when it comes to high performance.
Okay.
We want to be reaching out to about 500,000 new kids every year.
Additionally, the NCF is determined to break into the top 20 global rankings in both men's and women's cricket. To achieve this, they aim to introduce 500,000 new kids for the sport annually and establish at least 20 world-class cricket facilities capable of hosting international competitions. Remo Stars extended a lead at the top of the Nigeria Premier Football League table with a hard-fought 2-1 victory over Kano Pillars at the Remo Stars Stadium in Ikenne. Sikiru Alimi gave the hosts an early lead in the 5th minute, while Ibrahim Abubakar doubled the advantage before half-time. However, Abba Adam pulled one back for Kano Pillars just before the break. Despite a spirited second-half effort, Pillars could not find an equalizer, suffering their 4th defeat in 5 games. The result leaves them 13th place, struggling for form with just 1 win in the last 5 outings. Meanwhile, Remo Stars strengthened their grip at the summit of the MPFL standings. Bayer Leverkusen fell 8 points behind Bundesliga leaders Bayern Munich after a frustrating goalless draw on Saturday. Bayern had increased their pressure with a 3-0 victory over Werder Bremen on Friday, their 7th consecutive league win. Leverkusen missing key players like Florian Wirtz, Patrick Schick and Jamie Frimpong from the start after the German Corp exploit struggled for rhythm. Nordi Mukiele squandered a golden chance in the first half, heading over from a close range. Wirtz and Frimpong came on after an hour but could not inspire a breakthrough. Wirtz had a late penalty appeal denied before missing a stoppage time opportunity. Elsewhere, Stuttgart beat Dortmund 2-1, Freiburg edged Heidenheim 1-0, and Union Berlin trashed Rotherham 4-0 to boost their survival hopes. Finally, in the world of sport, Kevin De Bruyne rescued Manchester City with a late winner as they came from behind to beat Leyton Orient 2-1 in the FA Cup 4th round. Jimmy Donnelly's strike rebounded off the bar and in off City's keeper, Stefan Ortega, to give the 4th-tier side a short lead. A deflected Rico Lewis shot levelled the score before Kevin De Bruyne sealed victory 11 minutes from time. Meanwhile, Southampton's nightmare season continued with a 1-0 loss to Burnley, while Bournemouth eliminated Everton 2-0 at Goodison Park. Rodrigo Muniz Brace led Fulham past Wigan. Ipswich trashed Coventry 4-1 and Millwall stunned Leeds 2-0 on Saturday. And that's it in the world of sport. I am Onyinyechi Obaro.
That's all on the news, but then let's look at our top stories again. Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority to sanction Kenya Airways over passengers' mistreatment. Abductors are demanding 250 million naira ransom for the former Director General of the NYC, Maharazu Tsiga. We also told you that Kenya has urged warring parties to immediately cease hostilities in DR Congo. Do watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, Star Times channel 274, Avo TV and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I am Lekon Onobanjo.